the sound of an empty gun chamber, the sound of a miracle. I was 14 years old, bleeding on a cold Chicago street, with the barrel of a gun pressed against the back of my head. In that final, silent moment, I clenched my teeth, squeezed my eyes shut, and braced myself for the end. That moment should have been my ending. For a long time, I felt like it was. But I sit with you today because I've learned it wasn't an ending at all. It was a new beginning. It was the moment I was given my unfair advantage. Good evening. I want to talk to you today about a paradox. A fundamental, uncomfortable, and powerful truth. That our most profound moments of adversity, the moments that break us, the moments that we thought we couldn't survive, can become the source of our greatest power, our deepest perspective, and our most unique advantage. I learned this truth when I was 14 years old, but the seeds were planted long before that day. Me before the click, a normal kid from Chicago. My world was built on a foundation of family. Our block was a community. My dad was the fixer, the man whose hands spoke a language of love and reliability. When anyone in the family needed a helping hand, my dad is who they call. I owe so much to him. He's been my personal handyman for my homes, my cars. He's always been there for me. And my mom is a warrior. I learned this long before I had to fight for my life, because I watched her fight for her own. For nearly a year, she was in constant pain, a fire in her stomach that wouldn't go out. She couldn't sleep. I was just a kid, tagging along to her appointments, watching her tell a doctor named Wong that something was really wrong. He'd poke her stomach, she'd wince, and then he'd tell her she was fine. He dismissed her pain, refused to run tests. This woman, who was so tough, when she showed up at the ER to give birth to me, the nurses left her in the waiting room because she didn't look like she was in pain. This woman was being told her suffering was all in her head. Finally, he gave her an ultimatum. If you come back here complaining of this stomach pain, he told her, I'm going to send you for a psych eval. He told my mother she was crazy. That threat was the breaking point. She finally defied him and went to see a different doctor. She wasn't crazy. She had stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. My world broke. We found ourselves in I Can Cope therapy groups. I was just a kid, but I noticed when the faces in the circle started to disappear. But my mom, she outlasted them all. But the therapy had an unintended side effect. While my mom was fighting to live, those same sessions were teaching my dad how to let her go. So when she survived, they found themselves on 2 different paths. He had already said his goodbyes. She needed to start a new life, the one that she fought so hard to keep. And she knew she had to do it on her own. One night, it was late, I overheard my parents arguing. They never argued. I couldn't really make out what either one of them was saying until I heard my mom, clear as day, say, "I just don't love you anymore." My world broke again. Losing control at home, I had to build my own systems for survival. At school, I became the gifted rebel. My birthday is a month after that cutoff date to get into kindergarten. But my mom couldn't wait another year to get me into school. She went to the school and fought, convinced them to let me take a test. By the end of kindergarten, they said I was gifted. So I was shipped off to another school, away from my friends. And the school had so much homework. I just wanted to go out and play. I hated busy work. So I discovered a hack. I only needed to pass the tests. A teacher made a mistake and admitted at a parent-teacher conference. "He passes all the tests," he told my mom. He was frustrated. "I know he knows the material, so I have to pass him." That sentence was the key to the kingdom. This all culminated in one final act of validation. I was excluded from the ACT prep group, the ones for the kids who had a future. I rolled into ACT test high as a kite, both days. I got bored during the math section. It was the final part. It was like a 6-hour exam. There were so many questions. It started to feel like busy work, you know? And they told us that once we were done, once you turned it in, we can leave. So I was done. I left about 15 math questions blank. I didn't care. I left. A few weeks later, school gathered the entire ACT prep squad. They wanted to announce the results. I wasn't in the room. I was never invited. But the story got back to me. The shock on their faces when they learned that the top scorer in the school, the highest in a decade, didn't belong to any of them. It belonged to the wheelchair boy they had written off. High as a kite. On the streets, rules were different, but the goal was the same. You survive. It's life. The first time I got shot, it was almost casual. A ricochet from some asshole standing about a block and a half away slammed into my shin. It took me to the ground. I felt the bullet stuck in my shin. It's burning. It's hot. I lifted my pants up, flicked it off with my finger. Started to bleed a little bit, but it was okay. So I used a little hole in my pants to rip the bottom of my sweatpants off. Tied a little tourniquet, just tied it around my leg, and I walked home. I never told anyone. It wasn't a traumatic event. It was just a Tuesday. That's who I had to become. The kid on February 9th, 1998, was told on at least 4 separate occasions to go home. I didn't listen. I was stubborn. Each time I heard, "Go home," I told myself, "I'm not going home. I'm not going to go home." And that stubbornness led me to that moment on the pavement. Legs gone, with a gun to my head. But then that sound of that miracle. My new life began with humiliation. A special bus with the loudest, groaningest lift you've ever heard came to take me to my new special school. And the timing was perfect. As I was being hoisted into the air, this loud, groany-ass lift, spectacle for the world to see. It was about 100 school kids walking on by on their way to the local school, I wasn't allowed to go to. Just pointing, laughing, staring at the spectacle. When I finally got on the bus, I looked around and I was surrounded by severely developmentally disabled children. I was terrified. My deepest fear wasn't just this physical disability. It was that the world was about to erase the only thing I had left, my mind. I felt anything but special. So one day, I'm in between classes in the hallways of my new special school when a guy in a wheelchair named Ramon Medina came at me like a bat out of hell. Zooming around, sports chair, the slanted wheels. But my first thought was that he was crazy. He was maybe one of those special kids from the bus. I was still bitter. I was still angry. I just saw the wheelchair. But he stopped right in front of me and saw something I couldn't see in myself. He saw an athlete. That simple invitation to play basketball at lunch gave me new purpose. Wheelchair sports became my way back. It gave me a new tribe, a new identity, and a new set of rules to master. It started with the two of us, and slowly turned into a 5-on-5 every single day. I was lucky enough to play for a legendary coach at the University of Illinois, Mike Frogley. He was the architect of my mental toughness. He taught me a lesson I carry with me every single day. He devised this brutal tug-of-war drill. I was tied to my teammate, Steve Sirio. He has gold medals now. The first 4-minute set, I dominated him. I pulled him around the gym. I trash talked. It felt great. Young kid coming in, showing us what's up. But not that first 4 minutes. The second 4 minutes was a different story, though. I gassed out. And he was pissed. That second set, he pulled me around the gym. What are you going to do? But we had one more set left. And it was a battle. Our bodies were completely spent. But our minds were determined. We stayed in the same spot for all 4 minutes, giving just a few inches at a time, back and forth. All while Coach Frogley was sitting right next to us, screaming in our ears, "This is mental toughness. This is how you win." In that moment, our bodies had given up, but our minds refused to quit. When the buzzer sounded, those ropes were so tight, the trainers had to cut them off us. I learned then that my willpower was more powerful than my muscles. I learned my limits were defined by my mind, not this chair. That lesson, that my mind is my greatest asset, is the core of the unfair advantage. It has saved my life, and it has built my career. Years after I got shot, I was coming home late, pulled into my driveway, and immediately a car blocked me in. A man got out, long kitchen knife in his hand. Walks up to my car, grabs me by the shirt, and puts the blade to my neck. "Motherfucker, you one of those D's, aren't you?" My little brother got killed here this week, so I'm here to kill one of you motherfuckers. He was drunk, grieving, and looking for revenge. All the while, his stupid girlfriend was sitting in the car. Babe, come on, let's go. My heart was pounding. I was thinking, what do I do? Do I fight him? I can't run. But some part of me, maybe that part forged in Frogley's gym, stayed calm. My survival instinct wasn't to fight. It was to connect. I'm in a wheelchair, bro. I told her, I got shot when I was a teenager. She got back. Yeah, you must have been a gangbanger to get shot, right? There goes that story. I'm like, fuck, what's next, right? Thought back to my own trauma, the pain that I put my parents through. So that was my last-ditch effort. Your mom just lost one son. She's about to lose you too. Go home. You need to go be with your mother right now. He broke down. He started to cry. The man who was about to kill me was now mourning with me, hugging me with the knife still in his hand. We ended up by my back door. I rolled a blunt. We smoked. We laughed. We connected. He even asked if his girlfriend could come out and hit the blunt. I told him, man, leave her ass in the car. She didn't get out to try to save my life. She doesn't need to get out to hit this blunt. And he laughed. A real laugh. The trauma that nearly ended my life gave me the perspective to save it. That is the unfair advantage. It's the perspective that allows you to see opportunity where others see chaos. A colleague at work once asked me, how do you stay so calm under pressure? My response was simple. I've never had a knife to my neck at work. No one's ever tried to kill me here. She looked at me like I was crazy. Why would I ever be flustered, though? When you face true life or death situations, a tough project is just a puzzle. It's not a threat. It's nothing to get flustered over. That perspective is my advantage. It allowed me to see the 6 months I was unemployed after being laid off, not as a failure, but as a mission. It allowed me to see an organization in turmoil, not as a sinking ship, but as an opportunity to advance. I stepped into that void and earned 2 promotions in 3 years. That fight for injustice continues every day. Just last week, after a 10-year wait, my insurance company finally approves a new wheelchair. The cost, about $4,000. Their approved coverage, after deductibles and fees, $55. You can get flustered. You can get angry. But with this perspective, you can also laugh at the absurdity of it. It's just another puzzle, another fight I have to win. The skills I learned surviving the street of Chicago are the same skills I use now to navigate the corporate world and my insurance company and turn it into my advantage. My life today, this is my why. This is what all the fighting was for. It was a fight to have a family. A journey through the clinical, heartbreaking world of IVF. The doctors told me my sperm was low quality. The guilt I felt watching Mo endure painful injections day after day was immense. The first round failed. The clinic, worried about their success rates, the insurance companies, pushed us to use a sperm donor It was a difficult decision, but we agreed. I was ready to raise a biological stranger just to have a family with the woman I loved. So for the next round, they did a 50-50 split. The updates from the lab were brutal. The donor's embryos thrived. Mine struggled. By day 5, he had 4 healthy embryos. I had one lone survivor. I had to fight the clinic to even include my single embryo in the transfer. They didn't want to do it. They cited insurance. I fought them, and I won. But for 9 months, we lived with a silent, haunting question. Whose is it? The day our daughter Morgan was born, I had already accepted our fate. But then I saw her. Her bushy eyebrows, those crooked little pinkies like mine, and a flicker of hope ignited. A DNA test confirmed it. She was mine. To beat the odds, embryo had survived. That miracle paved the way for our second pregnancy. This time there was no donor. At the first ultrasound, the tech found a heartbeat. Baby A, she called it. Oh, that's cute. She named it Baby A. Okay, what does that mean? But a moment later, she said, and here's the heartbeat for Baby B. And we both said, what? We were stunned. We were having twins. Even the birth was a high-stakes drama. After our daughter McKenna was born, the entire operating room suddenly went silent. I didn't know it then, but our son Benjamin's arm had come down first, and the cord had wrapped around his neck. The doctor, in a split second, performed a life-saving maneuver, pushing him back into the womb with one hand, unwrapping the cord with the other, and guiding him out safely. The image that defines that time for me is leaving the hospital. Mo, just 2 days after giving birth to twins, while we were being discharged, she got out of her own wheelchair, lifted the 2 car seats into the car, and she walked around the car, grabbed my wheelchair, put it in the back of the car before getting into the passenger seat herself. The transporter, who wasn't allowed to help people get in their cars, just stood there shocked. And I just watched her in awe. I wasn't exactly sure up to that point that we were going to be able to handle these twins on top of the 2-year-old that we already had at home. But in that quiet, powerful moment, Mo showed the world she is and has always been the strongest of us all. I knew then we were going to be just fine. My story is unique, but the principle is universal. Everyone in this room has had something taken from them. And that means everyone in this room possesses their own version of this advantage, waiting to be recognized. So I challenge you today. Re-examine your own story. Look at your setbacks, your deepest wounds, those moments that broke you. Stop seeing them as liabilities, as trauma. Look closer. Look for the strength, the perspective, the empathy, the resilience that was forged in those moments. That is your advantage. It is unique to you. You earned it in the fire. Our ultimate purpose is not to wish for a life without struggle. How boring would that be? It's to use the perspective gained from our struggles to build lives of meaning, to love the people around us fiercely, and to leave this world just a little bit better than we found it. That is a legacy. That is a true victory. Thank you.
so serious.